Welcome back to the Investor Professor podcast. This is Dr. Ryan Peckham, and this is episode 102. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about having an income anchor and why that is so important to your investment future and how it allows you to have options to invest in other things. And we'll talk about it from the grandiose example of billionaires fighting over platforms as we discuss Zuckerberg and Musk and this battle for social media supremacy here. And we're also going to talk about a scary trend that doesn't seem to be getting a lot of coverage, which is the amount of people from every generation taking out withdrawals from their 401ks to pay for expenses. So a lot going on in this week's episode. I think it's going to be a very good episode. So get your mind right and let's get to work. Okay, so here we go. With this week's episode, I think that I'm really excited about this week's episode. I'm trying to frame it properly, and hopefully it'll flow the way I want it to. But I thought it would be a great time to just talk about having an income anchor. We'll talk about Zuckerberg. We'll talk about Elon Musk and this battle for supremacy here on the online platforms. But it makes me think of kind of a bigger picture here. And so I'll get to that in just a minute. But I want to give a quick market update. Kind of a down week for the market. We had some economic data come out. Job growth was hotter than expected. And so the market kind of fizzled towards the end of the week. And that was because the market is pricing in another rate hike at the end of July. So the Fed is going to meet on July 25th and 26th. And so the expectation is going to be that there's going to be another rate hike from that meeting. And so you start seeing that being priced in, and it is going to be, we're still towards the end of these rate hikes. So even though there's going to be a couple more rate hikes, we don't know how many, 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, they're gonna hold them there for a while. You see mortgage rates going back up. It's still, we're towards the end of this cycle, and so the market, yes, it pays attention to it, but it's nothing like the massive downdrafts that we had last year. So it does make it doesn't make the impact that it used to. So one of the things that keeps coming up is, well, man, the economy's doing so well. Americans are still spending money. The American economy is still going. When are Americans going to run out of their savings? When are they going to start, dialing back their spending? Well, there was one survey that came out that I wanted to share with you. This is by the Transamerica Institute. And one of the concerning things is that workers are starting to raid their retirement savings at record rates. So this article came out and it starts to show you that there are a lot of workers that are tapping their 401k accounts in order to pay for things. And so you look at some of these numbers, and the top reason that people take money out of their 401ks is financial emergencies. Right, so that could be debt, saving. Nobody has any savings, and so when you look at this, let me find the number here. The number of people that took money out is a staggering 38%. So 38% of people who have a retirement account, a 401k account, are taking a withdrawal from that account. And so they're taking it out early, a hardship account, which is basically 30% faster or 30% more than took out last year. And so one of the things I wanted to share with you is that when somebody takes money out of their 401k, especially when they do it early, so the rules is that if you have a 401k or an IRA, it's the same. If you want to take money out before you're 59 and a half, you have to pay regular income taxes plus a 10% penalty. So the reason you have to pay those income taxes is because if you're doing like a traditional 401k, you get a tax deduction when you put that money in, right? So if you make $50,000 a year and you put $10,000 into your 401k, well, then when you do your taxes, it really looks like you only made $40,000. And so since you're taking that money out early, the United States government, they make you pay the taxes, but they also put that penalty on there. That penalty is on there to try to prevent people from taking this money out. So if you're making, let's say you're in the 25th percentile or 25% tax bracket. If you're in the 25% tax bracket and you want to take money out, you really have to take out 35%. So if you want to get, let's say you need $6,500, you got to take out $10,000 to get that $6,500. So there is a pretty steep penalty. And even in this article, it doesn't really discuss the amount of money that people, the penalty that people are taking. But it's, it is scary to think about. This is a new generation, right? Most of us do not have a pension plan, where a pension plan is that you work for a company for a number of years and they say, hey, thank you for your service. For the next 25 years of your retirement, we're going to send you a check and you don't have to worry about it. See, on a pension plan, the pressure and the responsibility is on the employer. Well, when you have a 401k, that is basically corporations transferring the responsibility of your retirement from them to you. So when you have a 401k, you're now in charge of your own retirement. And the thing is you do not want to only have Social Security for your retirement. You don't. The average Social Security check is $1,300, right? So if you take care of your own retirement, you can times by 5 or 10. And if you let the government take care of your retirement, you can divide by 5 or 10. So, but it's difficult when you're 28 years old, 30 years old, and you need money and you're like, hey, I can always make it back later. The problem is, and the studies show, that people really don't make it back later, because this isn't just Generation Z taking money out. It's Generation X. It's the baby boomers. It's basically everybody. And so it's not generation specific. And so you look at the reason people are taking money out. Well, it's weird because the top reason is financial emergency. The second reason is debt, which those would maybe be pretty close to each other. And third is everyday expenses, paying rent, medical bills. There's one for home improvement, and even buying a car. I mean, that one to me is just like, that is so horrible. If you're taking money out of your 401k to buy a car, you're taking something that is, increasing asset and putting in something that is depreciating. And so, we got to do better. And I know the people who listen to this podcast, we are doing better, but still, there's a lot of people who are struggling financially, and you really can't see it in the numbers. So this is why you see the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. The average loan taken out this year in the first 3 months of 2023 is $5,100. And the number of people that are taking this out has jumped 33% from this time last year. So it's definitely on the increase here. So make sure, the majority of people doing this, they're taking it out for, a financial emergency. So make sure you put together a emergency fund. It's one of the most basic things. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about it. We usually cover things that are a little bit more in depth or just a little bit more rigorous. But, you have to have an emergency fund, $10,000, $5,000 to $10,000. Put that away, put it into a savings account. Nowadays, there's actually savings accounts that'll actually pay you interest, unlike a couple of years ago. So you can go to ally.com, you can go to Capital One, you can go to American Express Savings. There's all these places you can go that'll do a high interest savings account for you. I like you having a savings account that isn't exactly linked to the bank that you're currently at, because when you have a savings account at the bank that you're currently at, you're more likely to just transfer money over and spend it on things that really aren't necessities. If you have an online savings account, there's kind of a two-prong approach to this. Number one, It'll take about a day for the money to transfer over for you. So there's kind of a stopgap there. It has to be something you really need the money for. And number two is they usually pay you better interest than all the other places. So it kind of helps protect you from yourself. And sometimes we all need that. Sometimes there's items we want to buy or purchase that we just need to sleep on it a little bit and see if we still feel the same in the morning. Okay, so the real topic here is I wanted to discuss having an income anchor that allows you to do other things. So in the news, it's been all over the news, is Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. Why do we love it when billionaires kind of fight? I don't know, but we definitely, the public definitely has an interest. There is, rumors of Elon Musk and Zuckerberg having a cage match, which is just, it's hard to say that with a straight face, to think about billionaires getting into a cage and doing like a UFC type fighting. Jiu-jitsu or whatever, but they're talking about if they did it, they would raise about $1 billion in pay-per-view funds to see them fight, which is, it really feels like we're just in some kind of simulation. I mean, we're literally just in somebody else's video game, it feels like at some point, or a horrible reference is somebody else's metaverse, right? So it's just kind of funny. But anyways, so we have these billionaires fighting. We have this week, we have the launch of Threads, which is Facebook or Meta's new platform, which is going to basically, I don't know, to me, we downloaded it. We got the Investor Professor on Threads. We'll see how long it lasts. It had over 30 million users added to the platform in the first day, I think. So a lot of people coming on there, but it's supposed to be a rival for Twitter, and so you have Musk angry about it. You have Zuckerberg competing in that space, and so it made me think kind of next level. I've talked to a lot of people that talk about all these ideas for businesses and things like that, and they bring people to me and they say, hey, this person's doing this person's doing that. What are your thoughts? Maybe I could do something like that. And the one thing that I notice about people who are business owners or good investors, they always have an anchor. And what I mean by that is they have a business or an income stream, or they have something that they know that they can count on that is going to take care of all their everyday expenses, right? So this is the person or the business that is a cash cow, or they have a really good salary and they know, like, I'm going to have this money coming in. It's their anchor. They know that they're going to have this money coming in, whether it's $100,000, $200,000, $1 million, whatever it is. They know that they have this anchor that is going to keep them financially grounded. And then because they have that anchor, they're able to take funds and shift them other places, right? So the big example here would be, because Zuckerberg has Facebook, he was able to then spend the money for Instagram. He was then able to spend the money for WhatsApp. He was then able to spend the money on the metaverse, even though it hasn't worked out so well. And he was able to, do Threads now. And so you're taking one income stream and you're using it to create other income streams. This is very, very important for you to grasp. The same thing with Elon Musk, right? So he has Tesla. And now because Tesla has hit momentum, you're seeing every day, I repost all the number of manufacturers that are going to use their charging stations, right? So Tesla has become this cash cow for him. He was able to do, the solar project. He's able to do the, oh my gosh, I just went blank. Not a good thing to go blank when you're recording a podcast and you do the whole thing live. But when his NASA, his aerospace company, I got to look it up. Sorry. So when you look at just all the different things, right? So he's able to do these other platforms. He was able to buy Twitter based on the income that he has coming in from all these other businesses. So when you have that anchor, it allows you to be able to take income from something that you know is going to be good and come in and shift that money elsewhere to really diversify yourself. And in the beginning, it seems more risky, right? Like the metaverse seems risky right now because it's unproven. Well, once it becomes proven, all of a sudden that risk goes away and it really makes Meta more powerful than it was before. And it could not work out, but everything's a risk reward. Is it going to work out? Is it not going to work out? Everything is a risk reward, but you have to have that steadiness of, income, salary, business profits, whatever it is. So it allows you to be able to work in these other areas. Now, the danger here is that let's say you have a business and you go out and borrow a bunch of money and then invest in other things. See, that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to leverage up. You don't want to use leverage in a negative way where you take a business and you borrow a bunch of money against it, and then that business starts to fail, and then now all of a sudden you're in trouble. This is what happened with Toys R Us. I'm going to ruin your childhood. So, and then, they buy Toys R Us, the private equity firm buys Toys R Us, and they borrow a bunch of money against it because it's a good brand. It's generating a lot of cash. And so they borrow a bunch of money against Toys R Us, and they use that money to go buy a bunch of other businesses. And then all of a sudden, Walmart starts offering toys online. Amazon comes around and starts offering toys, Target, all these things. And so, who wants to go wait at Toys R Us, camp out in the middle of the night, do all these things when you can just order it online? And so because they had leveraged all this money from Toys R Us, they didn't have any money left over because they're trying to service the debt. They didn't have any money left over to invest in online infrastructure. And so then the thing just kind of collapsed in on itself. And it just took all the other businesses down with it. Toys R Us goes bankrupt. That's what you don't want to do. So you don't want to introduce leverage on some of this stuff. Warren Buffett talks about it all the time. When you see a company go under, most of the time, 90% of the time, leverage is involved. And you look at what happened last year, and man, there's a lot of companies that you just don't, it's a risk you don't want to take. And so, but you do think about your life. What is going to be your income anchor? Is it your business? Is it your salary? Are you going to try to get to a certain level and then start shifting money over to other things? I've seen this happen with doctors who use their income, and all of a sudden they start taking a percentage of their income. They invest it in real estate. They invest it in the stock market. Like there's different areas that you can invest in that really provides that opportunity. And so you look, and this is exactly what's happening with a lot of these massive companies that we discuss. So you look at the Teslas, the Microsofts, the Amazons, the Apples, these companies, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they have to go into other lines of business in order to keep their growth rates up and to try to keep growing the companies. But the problem is they're now starting to go into different businesses that their competitors are in, right? And so you look at cloud computing, and you look at Azure with Microsoft, and of course you have Amazon's cloud platform, and all these are starting to compete against each other. And so when you look at Meta looking for another income stream or a possibility of adding users, creating a Twitter-like competitor makes a lot of sense for them, right? Because Elon Musk buys Twitter. In the beginning, it's kind of a disaster, right? You see him, laying off a lot of people. You see people aren't really happy with the platform because of, people are angry on Twitter and whatever. There's different users on Twitter than there are in other parts. And so I'm sure Zuckerberg's looking at that and going, man, this might be our opportunity. They've had people leave. They've had, advertisers leave, this would be a great thing that we could kind of create here. We could sell it to advertisers. We could say we have all these people on the platform, come to us. Not only will we advertise for you on Facebook, but Instagram, and then now Threads, and it just kind of ties it all together in a nice bow. It's been difficult because since Elon Musk bought Twitter, he made it a private company, so they no longer have to report on it, right? So we don't really know how many users they have. We don't know how much money it's losing. There's people who discuss it, but it's really just kind of a toy in the backyard for them. I'm not saying, we all have neighbors. We know people who they make a little bit of money. They go buy a 4-wheeler. They go buy a golf cart, whatever it is. Well, billionaires, they go buy Twitter and they start this company over here, and it's all a percentage of their income. And so, do they care if it goes down or not? Who knows, right? It only really gets their attention when they start losing a lot of money, which is exactly what happened to Meta with the metaverse. And then all of a sudden, Zuckerberg, really figured it out and said, "Man, we got to make this thing profitable." So which Facebook's always had really good revenue numbers and really good balance sheets, but now they're really focusing on that. So. But you need to think about that, going back to your life, creating other income streams for yourself. So you have your salary, maybe you have a business. You got to get that to a point where obviously you're taking care of your day-to-day needs and you're able to, buy a house and do all these things, but, set up your emergency fund, things like that. But eventually you got to start thinking about, okay, what else can I invest in? Where can I put some money so that I really start to insulate myself? And it's a powerful thing. I mean, if you're an income employee somewhere, right? You get a W-2 from your boss, and you start investing in things over here. Maybe it's the stock market, and you have a bunch of dividend payers, or you have a real estate, and you start getting rental income. As you start to diversify your income, you're going to notice something happens, which is you start to feel pretty empowered. And if you're working with people that you don't enjoy, or you're working for a boss you don't enjoy, all of a sudden you start having options that other people don't have. And you have these options because you have diversified your income. You can now be in control of your schedule. You can now work maybe at a position you really like. If you want to look for a different career, it allows you to be able to do that. But the biggest thing is it takes some time, it takes some patience, and normally it takes a little bit longer than people want. They want that new couch, they want that new house more than they want financial freedom. So being able to hold yourself off and, delay gratification will really help you, and especially if you do it while you're young. But even if you're older, it's something that you should never stop thinking about. I think about it. Right. My life, obviously I teach, which provides a very nice anchor, but also my investment business provides a very nice anchor. And I look at different things now that I can possibly do because my income is based, basically on the stock market, and I have a lot of money invested in the stock market. So I'm looking at, what would it look like if I did real estate or something like that? My problem is I spend so much time studying the stock market, studying different stocks, that it's just, I just think I see things, maybe it's overconfidence bias, but I see different investments and I go, man, this is a really good time to get into this. And that's kind of what I did last year when I was on here talking about how different companies were down. Buying Apple at 127 last year, and now it's 191. So those are pretty good opportunities. So it's not that any of these paths are better than the others. It's not about which one is the best. It's about which one is right for you. Which one can you do consistently and stay with? And it's more about the mindset as well, right? So don't just be thinking about, what your salary is or what your business, what you're doing. Think about how you can create that anchor. So you have this cash cow. And most of us, unfortunately, the cash cow is you. So that's why we talk about investing in yourself mentally, physically, right? Keeping yourself healthy, keeping your mind, healthy, so that you can be your own, goose that laid the golden egg. So investing in yourself so that you can create these other income streams for yourself so that eventually, man, you get to do what you want, you get to control your schedule, and you get to really live the life that you wanted. So, so when you see these, and these billionaires doing their thing, think about that. Don't just think about kind of what they're doing. Think about how their business, that's their anchor, allows them to do all these other things, and then just kind of sit back and chuckle and think about getting to watch Elon and Zuckerberg cage fight while you enjoy, some popcorn. It is really the twilight zone, I think, that we're living in. So that's enough for this week. I hope this helps you. I want you to think about the anchor that you're trying to create for yourself this week. Concentrate on that. Let that be kind of your guiding light, and don't mistake activity for achievement. I'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.